Just a short video to talk about this Fel-Pro Printo Seal head gasket on a 393 Windsor stroker. It's more commentary on why I'm using this and not using the popular but I think unneeded MLS gaskets. So let's just start with the basics. This is a 393 stroker, as I mentioned. These are Keith Black KB364 30 over hypereutectic pistons. The engine is zero decked, and you guys know what zero decking means. That's very popular nowadays. I don't really like it because if you need to take more off that deck, you may need to go find another engine. But a lot of piston manufacturers are requiring zero decking, so that's what this one does. So with these specifications here, you can see the part number, you can see the specs of the head gasket. Compression ratio is 9.89 to 1. So let's just round up to 9.9. Is that enough compression for a mild performance motor? Oh, of course it is. It's plenty of compression. Over about the past 10 years, there seems to be a love affair with muscle car engines having a ton of compression, like over 10.5 to 1. And I really think that that is not necessary. If we were to get a thinner head gasket on this and get the compression ratio up to say 10.2 to 1, and I don't know that a thinner one could still be thick enough to get us there, but just for the academic exercise, using the rule of thumb of 4% more power for every full point of compression, going from 9.9 to 10.2 is just under 5 horsepower. And my point isn't so much about the power gain. It's I am not going to get a super thin head gasket like one of those multiple layer shim, those MLS gaskets. I'm not going to do that for 4.8 additional horsepower. The real problem with those MLS is if you check the blogosphere, there is hundreds, if not thousands, of domestic V8 owners complaining about head gasket coolant leaks with MLS. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's because the machinist didn't put the right surface finish on the deck. And most of the time that is true. And I believe that surface finish requirement is 50 RA. So can the right machinist do that and you're not going to have a problem? Probably. My opinion is, why take the risk? Fel-Pro makes a dozen head gaskets for these 351 based engines, so why not use a common composite head gasket and not take the risk of one of those MLS gasket leaks? Anyway, that's really what the point I wanted to make. Somebody might comment and go, "Oh my God, look at that coolant hole is semi-blocked by that." That is not a coolant hole. That is an oil return hole. So you can kind of see it in there. Anyway, it does look a little lame that it's partially occluded, but it's going to get the job done. The one in the back is fine. By the way, you can see the marker where it says front. If you're ever wondering which coolant holes get blocked, it's not these little guys here. It's not them. It's not the little holes. It's the big cooling holes in the fore and aft. So you got these big ones here. See how they're blocked in the front? There's a little relief one there. It's done that way on purpose. So if you flip it, all the small cooling holes will be still lined up, including these. But you will reverse these, so you don't want to do that. But anyway, if you think there's an advantage to using those MLS gaskets over a common Fel-Pro composite like this one, leave a comment and let's discuss it. I know a lot of people have used those MLS gaskets and not had a problem, but I know a lot of people have had problems. And these are people who swear up and down that their engine had the 50 RA surface finish. So I decided, no, I am not going to use those MLS gaskets, even though you see them used on all the Power Nation videos. I'm like, nope, it's not that I'm old school. It's all about intended function, and this Fel-Pro gasket gets the job done. Anyway, I think I'm going to use part of this to make a compression ratio video for this particular 393. As I said earlier, it's 9.89. Let's just round up to 9.9, and I think that's fine for a mild cammed 393. Should make around 1 horsepower per cubic inch, and that's probably on the low side. But anyway, hope you enjoy. Talk to you later.
Okay, so you're lying in bed watching this on your smartphone. Your wife's like, would you stop doing this and just go buy me that Honda? But here we are, we'll go through it. Anyway, so this is not a discovery talking about the coolant passage orientation, but I just thought I'd throw a known good source in there. If you look at the intro screen and the hyperlinks, you'll see this article. So this is just normal. Reverse these, you will get, put these holes over here, you'll get overheating right away. You can even see where it says front here, okay? So here's some information on that Fel-Pro head gasket. Intro screen has hyperlinks to this information. Fel-Pro's been around a long time. They know how to make a composite head gasket. I've probably used 10 or 15 of them and have not had a problem. Now, I'm using aluminum cylinder heads. I've got a whole video on my channel on my Blueprint Engines cylinder head if you want to see that, but the focus here is really it's an aluminum cylinder head. You'll notice that they say no brenneling of aluminum heads, and there's a definition up there. So how does Fel-Pro address this? They say they address it with this pre-flattened copper wire. So the dash one, I believe, has a stainless ring. Maybe that's for supercharged, but this is not a comparison. This is a good gasket. Fel-Pros are permatorque. Remember that term? So no retorque. They're designed for imperfect sealing surfaces. This is the way to go. What are we going to wrap up with? I mentioned compression ratio. So I do all my own calculations. So you may say, okay, well, you've got this little Excel thing here, but you really use the Diamond Pistons compression calculator. Actually backwards. So these are all my calculations where I've got them in Excel. In order to vet them, the best compression ratio calculator that I've seen online is Diamond Pistons. It is linked in the intro screen. My compression ratio calculations, which are pretty finite, they are to the second decimal place in agreement with Diamond Pistons. So that's a good confirmation I did it right. The compression ratio calculations are fairly straightforward. There's a ton of examples online where it shows people doing the formula stuff. If you want me to send you my spreadsheet that is extremely easy to follow, drop me a comment, leave me an email address. If you want me to send it to you at that email address and then delete the comment, just tell me to do that. Or you have a Gmail or something like that, you don't care. I don't get a lot of traffic, so your email address is not going to be exposed that long. So other things that affect the compression ratio, you can see the Keith Black pistons I'm using, the hyper-eutectic, and head gas, of course, the piston rings, and the cylinder heads. There's some other interesting information in there. So anyway, that just about wraps it up for my cylinder head gasket compression ratio video, and hope this helps. Take care, everybody.